Test, test, mic, test, mic 4, mic 3, test, mic 3, test. There's the where to switch off the mic, the speaker. The speaker is giving noise. Test, 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 test. How come this time I'm not muted? All right. You're not hearing any echo? Any echo? Any echo or not? Not lah. Come from my computer. I reduce all the sound. All right. Namo Buddhaya, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. A very good morning to all of you in the hall, and to those who have just joined us at the online, welcome. We're happy to have the opportunity. In fact, the hall is open for those who are able to come to SJBA Shrine Hall. Namo Buddhaya. I must say is that this morning, as the weather has been very kind to us, and we are going to have a wonderful time sharing the morning puja service with every one of you out there. And please continue to engage with us wherever you can. Keep the message coming in and wish each other a very good morning. And this morning, as usual, we will begin with the service. Let us do the Buddha Pujas together. And please, onto your knees and fold your palms together in Anjali. And those of you at home, follow us. And before that, what we do is let us pay homage to the Triple Gem. Let's do it together. Buddhang pujemi, Dhammang pujemi, Sanghang pujemi. Now go over to do the puja offerings. Right. Thank you very much. And we shall now be doing the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts. You can join us and we do it together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the Blessed One, the Accomplished One, the perfectly self-enlightened Supreme Buddha. Let's do the 3 refuges. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami. Tutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. I go to the Buddha for refuge. I go to the Dhamma for refuge. I go to the Sangha for refuge. For the second time, I go to the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha for refuge. For the third time, I go to the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha for refuge. The 5 precepts, Panchasila. Pānātipāta veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Adennādāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Kāmesu micchāchāra veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Musāvāda veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Surameraya majjapamādhatthāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Imani panca sikkhapadani samadhiyāmi. Imani panca sikkhapadani samadhiyāmi. Imani panca sikkhapadani samadhiyāmi. I undertake the training rule to abstain from killing living beings. I undertake the training rule to abstain from taking what is not given. I undertake the training rule to abstain from sexual misconduct. I undertake the training rule to abstain from false speech. I undertake the training rule to abstain from taking anything that causes intoxication and heedlessness. I undertake the training rule to observe these 5 precepts. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya, brothers and sisters, Dhamma. For those of you who are here, very good. We are great to meet each other again as a Kaya Mitras, our spiritual friends. And for those who are following us on online via the Facebook or the YouTube, now we'll see each other again. This is a 98th online Sunday Buddha Puja service. Please continue to engage with us. We are glad that today we have a Dhamma sharing by Didi Niwan. And brothers and sisters, later on when you have any questions regarding the sharing, please type your question in the comment box. And for those of you in the hall, please raise your hand. We will pass you the microphone. To those of you who have not listened to this morning's speaker, I recommend you to pay attention because there are lots to learn and then they are easy learning and we can apply in our everyday life. The speaker is a selfless volunteer in several aspects of the propagation of Buddhism. I must say that his effort is very great. He's the head of the program for the advancement in the Dhamma leadership. We call it the PADL, under the Center of Research and Dhamma Leadership Advancement, which is in short, we always call it the CRADA. And this is an initiative of the Theravada Buddhist Council of Malaysia, which is one of the, and he is also one of the EXCO members. At SJBA, he is the head of Dhamma Tutor. And with that, I would like to invite Didi Niwan to come forward to do your sharing with the title, Living a Life of Purpose, Building Skillful Habits. Wow, isn't it great that we're going to learn some skillful habits in our everyday life, back in your family and for yourself. Over to you, Didi. Brothers and sisters, we shall now do the chanting, where is a real collection of the Buddha. Buddha Nusati. Let's do it together. Iti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho Vijacharana sampanno sukato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhammasarati satta deva manussanang buddho bhagavati Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sandediko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanayiko Pachatang Veditabo Vinyuhiti Supatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho. Ujupatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho. Nyayapatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho. Samicipatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho. Yadidang chattari purisa yugani atta purisa pugala. Esa bhagavato savaka sangho. Ahuneyo pahuneyo dakineyo anjali karaniyo anuttarang punya ketang lokasati. Cetiya Vandana. Vandami cetiyang sabang sabbatane supatititang saririka dhatu mahaboding Buddha rupang sakalang sadang. Let's go straight, asking for forgiveness. Kayena vacha cittena pamadena maya katang akcayang kamame bande buri panya tathagata. Kayena vacha cittena pamadena maya katang akcayang kamame dhamma sanditika akalika. Ayena vacha cittena pamadena maya katang akcayang kamame sangha supatipanna anuttara. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And with that, I'll hand over to the speaker of this morning, Didi Niwan. Over to you.
I want to make sure that that this one is being heard also online. As I mentioned, those of you who are seeing me for the first time, my name is Wern, and I am currently in Subanjaya Buddhist Association, the head of Dhamma or Dhamma propagation and outreach for spiritual cultivation. And under this portfolio, there will be a few things that we are doing. One of it, very key one, is about Dhamma outreach, which means how we bring the Buddha's teaching to people like all of you here. Okay, so when we say bring the teaching to the people, it means whatever we know from the Buddha will be, given down to individuals and touching your heart as one of the key things that will help us in our daily routine and daily life. Thank you very much. Yeah. I think today we want to explore on the topic of habits. The reason why we were talking about this because over the last few weeks, those of you who have been here consistently over the last few weeks, how many of you are here for the first time? First time, okay. I know. All right, let's start with the more regular ones. Far left. That's my missus there. You want to just say something to the rest here? Okay, and sister yourself? Yeah. Very good. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I didn't get your name again. Jenny. Okay, so Jenny, resident of Subanjaya, has been here. I'm happy to see that you have been coming here, on the regular Sundays and sort of as part of your, there are many reasons why we come to the temple, but I think this is a very good to see you. This is a friendly environment. Yeah, it's meant for people to come into an area and a place where we can sort of just chill lah. Young people we call it chill. Okay, sister yourself. So from Mahindrama Penang. So you'll be staying in Subanjaya for some time? For a short while. How short is short? Welcome. But are you first time in Subanjaya itself, or you've been your mother? Okay, all right, good, good. Well, thank you for a welcome all the way from Penang, and it's good to see. We have a lot of Penang folks in Subanjaya, by the way. Okay, and I'd like to, I think very quickly, just have a quick intro. So perhaps starting with the gentleman behind there, Jim, Didi Jim, to introduce yourself so that we can, yeah. I want the people to.
Yeah, I think my voice is not powerful enough. Just call me Brother Tim. I'm the president of the Subanjaya Buddhist Association. have been involved in this association since from the very beginning, from the early registration of this association until today. And I so say that it's a blessing for me to be able to have this, to be able to find this fulfillment in my life. That even though those days as a young man, that I started a new family, also in my career, eventually in my business, but I have how they call some time for this type of community work, and also in a way to find a way to have a better life, to be happier life, which we can learn from the teaching of the Buddha Dhamma. So this is something which I think that a lot of fulfillment in life, which I hope that also we can share with more people, so that more people can understand what life is all about and how to live a happier and more meaningful and purposeful life.
Thank you, Brother Chim, who is also one of my seniors in the Dhamma. We have another EXCO member, Brother Peter. Just say hi. Brother Peter Chew is right behind there. So he's the secretary, current honorary secretary. And if you notice right behind me, we have Brother Chuan, who is hosting and also making sure that we have the session running. And right there, the technical man is Brother Yik. That is the one that makes sure all the online and the technical areas, including you see the cameras and all that are in order. And I think we have a small team of people that want to make sure that this session is run. So, and I think over the last few weeks, we have talked about purpose, and Brother Xiang Chai, who has always also been our regular speaker, has touched on the importance of having purpose and meaning in our routines, in our life, and not just going about our daily things without much of a direction. So it's all about direction, and it's all about finding meaning and purpose in everything that we do. And I think over the last few weeks or so, because of these constant reminders about purpose and meaning, we come to a stage where it's about also how we go about our daily routines. And it all comes back to what we call this thing called habits. Yeah. So if you look at our life in general, I just want to go straight to the topic. Many of us go through routines, and many of us try to make sense of what we are doing in our daily routines. However, many a time we get caught in what we call the cycle of life. What do you mean by cycle of life? It's called autopilot. It's called autopilot. And how does autopilot happen? Autopilot happens when we let things take its course without much thinking through, without really looking at what is what are the important things. So we allow things to sweep us away, and we go through the seasons. Yesterday, many of us celebrated Mid-Autumn Festival. So happy 中秋节快乐. So Mid-Autumn Festival, how many of you had some kind of celebration? We had some either with a family, I know in Penang, I think they're quite huge on this, isn't it? So last week already started. Okay, so we had a celebration, small one here in the SJBA, right? The hall, the multipurpose hall there yesterday, where they invited the orphanage children to come and celebrate together, to give them some meaning into their daily routines. But why I bring this up is because a lot of time when we go and celebrate occasions like this, and I'm sure we have a lot of such occasions, it's a happy event. But how do we go through the happy event? Many of us will have some kind of dinner celebration. In fact, yesterday, me and my family, we actually had makan, we chit chat, and they brought out the food, and we had a lot of laughter and fun and all that. And that's good. That's called enjoyment. That's called, but what about what enjoyment is just one aspect of the occasion. If we look deeply, why do we have such an occasion in the first place? I'm sure there are many legends surrounding why we celebrate so-called Mooncake Festival. There are many stories surrounding it. Some people say it has to do with a beautiful lady that fly up to the moon. Some people say it has to do with the secret messages that placed inside the mooncake to assert the empire. Yeah, it's supposed to be a spy. They inserted the messages into this ping. So the yue ping is during the occasion is meant for circling secret messages. There are many stories surrounding such things. But it's not just about the celebration of the occasion and having fun alone. I think if you look deeply at why we have festivals and important dates. We have Merdeka, we have Malaysia Day coming, we have New Year, we have Chinese New Year, and we also have our own birthdays. All these are important milestones and occasions to tell us where we are. But and all this actually, if you look deeply, if you do not just want to celebrate it as a normal celebration, it can also be pit stops for us to take a pause and take a look. What is life about? Why do we go about our daily routines like this? Why do we do the things we do and normally? And then is to take stock. What went well? What didn't go so well? How do we proceed? How do we move forward? I think different milestones in our life, a good spiritual practice is to take a pause, and we call this a strategic pause. So when we say living a life of purpose, let me just hang on. Sorry. It's too far from. It's not moving. So if you look back at this verse from Dhammapada, rare is birth as a human being, hard is the life of mortals, hard is the opportunity to hear the Dhamma, rare is the rising of the Buddhas. And I think this verse itself would spur us on to say there is an urgency to not just do the normal things we do and so-called celebrate, okay, without much of thought. But it is an important thing to say that we are born as a human being. It's a rare occasion. It's a rare thing. We have hard is the life of mortals. Life is not so straightforward. It can be quite complicated at times. Hard is the opportunity to hear the Dhamma. It's not so simple and so easy for us to come here. Why do you come here? To make a choice to come here and listen to the Dhamma. And rare is the rising of the Buddhas. These are all rare and very precious occasions for all of us. So if you look at this verse itself, the Buddha is just trying to maybe jolt our thoughts and says, can we not be too complacent? Can we look at things more with a sense of urgency that is not so, it's important that we do not succumb to the routines over and over, just having fun itself, just going about things like an autopilot. So this is about giving us a sense of urgency. And why is it so? Why does the Buddha continue to give us this perspective? The reality of life is that there is dukkha. I think the Buddha is just trying to tell us there's dukkha. What is dukkha? Dukkha, rebirth is suffering. Old age is suffering. Illness is suffering. Death is dukkha. Association with the dislike is dukkha. Separation from the like is dukkha. Not getting what you wish for is dukkha. In brief, 5 aggregates subject to clinging is dukkha. So The problem of dukkha is not to tell us that, oh, life is meaning, no more meaning, we just have to suffer. No, it's not like that. I think it's about giving us that no matter how we try to control the things we do in our life, we cannot escape from the fact that these things will happen. So because of that, I think it's important that we have this idea that the Buddha's advice is not to cultivate two extremes. On one extreme, you have this thing called indulgence in sensual pleasures. On the other extreme, we actually have indulgence in self-mortification or self-punishment. I think in most of us, we try to go about daily life by going to either extremes. One is we try to make ourselves comfortable, we indulge, we try to, do the things that we are doing so to make ourselves very either comfortable or fun or whatever it is. But at the same time, we also have another side that says, "Ayo, I feel so guilty now. I shouldn't have eaten that cake. I shouldn't have eaten that that seafood. I shouldn't have done that." So then you try to punish yourself and says, "Ayo, no, I'm gonna punish myself. I'm gonna now push myself to the other extreme." And the Buddha's advice is either way does not work, because none of this leads us to what we call the happiness in life. So then the question is, why do we continue to do what we do? Or welcome those who are just here, welcome. Why do we continue to do what we do? So there is this thing called, the Buddha is trying to say there's this thing called the middle way. And what is the middle way? The middle way is simply this noble eightfold path: right view, right thought or right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right samadhi, right stillness. And these are the path of practice that the Buddha has recommended. And this is what we call the middle path. It looks simple. That's why we learn this. We say, our path of practice is called the middle way. But it looks simple, but it's not so simple. Why? Because we know that at the end of it all, we are all creatures of what we call somehow the remote is not working so well. No, the battery is fine. Yeah. Okay, what I do is, hang on. Sorry. So why is it so? Because we have this thing called habits, and all of us have habits as our things. And what is the meaning of habit? Let's go into this. So habit is something we do often and regularly, sometimes without knowing that you're doing it. So habits come because of conditioning. We can't control ourselves. Despite we say, "Oh, I'm not going to take that extra bit of, supposedly we love ice cream." He says, "No, I'm not going to take the ice cream," but end up we will normally, still fall back to the same thing. I'll just do it. I'm not going to procrastinate. I'm going to do it immediately. But come the time, we will still continue to procrastinate because it's called habits. Habits is something sometimes is unconscious. We can't help ourselves. So now the nature of habits in our mind, they are like programs. Programs that, any of you familiar with computers? I'm sure. And computers, we write programs. And once you write a program, you press the run button, the program will run. Also automatically without you having to do anything. And you just So depending on the program that we program into the thing, it will run according to what program has been done. And we have our programming. What is our programming? Our programming is our past, what we have done before, our conditions that we have. And if you look at the Buddhist scope of programming, it's not just this life. Our programming goes back multi-lives. Our programming goes back to past life and past many lives that has shaped us into what we are today, who we are today, because of the programs. It's called conditions. And all these are because of habits. So unless we write new programs, our existing programs will continue to run and will continue to spur us forward into the new future in our life. That's why it's important to recognize that habits are like programs. And habits also is, John, if you don't mind to just click on them. So our well-being depends on what we do consistently over a period of time. We have our habits. Therefore, over a period of time, we become who we are. We become what we are. Our life is shaped by that. So we have two types of habits. We have bad ones and we have good ones, right? And if you look at what the Buddha is saying about habits, the bad habits are what we call akusala Dhamma. Akusala means unskillful. Okay, akusala Dhamma means qualities. So we have the unskillful qualities and then we have the skillful qualities. Okay, normally the unskillful qualities leads to negative outcomes, whereas the skillful qualities leads to positive outcomes. Right? So we have these two qualities, and this is according to what the Buddha is trying to say. Our life is shaped by both sides. So if we lean towards the unskillful, then the habits will lead us down the path that is on the negative side. If we lean towards the skillful, then the path will lead us to the positive one. So when we say living a life of purpose, it has a lot to do with whether or not we build those habits that will spur us on to what is meaningful, what is proper, what is good, what is beneficial. But if we lean towards the unskillful habits, then we find that it will always lead us to the downside. So purpose of life is like that. It's not about just philosophical thinking. Oh, I think I should live a life of purpose. So, okay, this is what I want to do. And then I wish that life will be like this. And then you tend to go into very philosophical things. It's not about that. The Buddha is not trying to give us a philosophy. The Buddha is just trying to tell us, let's live a meaningful life. What does a meaningful life mean? Meaningful life is very simple. Avoiding and lessening those things that doesn't lead to well-being and increasing those things that lead to well-being. These are called building of habits. So actually Buddhism, if you look at it, is nothing more than building habits, whether positive and negative. And of course, if you lean towards the positive, you know it will lead to more skillful ways of living. Right. But first, let's understand what are the root causes of our unskillful qualities. Why do we have those programs that lead to unskillfulness or unhappiness? These are the roots. How it doesn't work. Okay, the three unskillful roots according to this is called Buddhist psychology. Why do we continue to build those things that are not so skillful? Lobha, dosa, moha. Three roots. What are these? Lobha, frequently translated as greed. Desiring or wanting things even though we can't have them. desiring or wanting things that are out of our reach, never being satisfied with something, no matter what we do, continuing to want to have more and more of such things. These are what we call lobha. Dosa, or hatred, frequently translated as hatred, is if you look at it from a psychological standpoint, it means that wanting to get rid of something. So we always have these two things. You want something and you want to get rid of something. You want something that is pleasant, that is, that will satisfy, even though temporarily, and we can continue to never satisfy it. Dosa means wanting to get rid of it. I don't want this. I hate this. I don't want to be in this position. I don't want to be sitting next to next to you. I don't want to be in the same room as you. When you meet your friends or relatives, sometimes the minute you see him or her, you start to turn away, because that's actually, if you look at it from a psychological standpoint, that's aversion. That's wanting to push away. I don't quite enjoy this, so I don't want it. So this continuous back and forth to want something and then to want to get rid of something, lobha, dosa. These are unskillful roots. These are the roots of bad habits, that we call it. And the last one is moha. Moha is frequently translated as delusion or ignorance. That means we are not aware of what is happening. In fact, sometimes we even justify the things that we do. Some people, they do something very unskillful or something very bad. They say, some people, they got very bad speech. They say things that that hurt people, and then you tell them, hey, how can you say that? And then they says, well, nothing wrong. What? Some people, they know they are doing it wrong, but they say, no, nothing wrong. They justify. They say, nothing wrong with it. In fact, it's not me, it's you. You are the one who took it wrongly. I didn't say the wrong thing. Okay? So this is called delusion, because you keep thinking that what you do is right. You're ignoring the fact that what you're doing is unskillful. So that's moha. It's moha. Moha also comes in the form of justifications. We justify ourselves. We keep thinking that what we do is nothing wrong. In fact, some people continue to justify. Sorry, that's why we continue to have people who can be put in jail and say, I'm still innocent. Okay? Or have really been, in fact, they're wrong. Everybody can see they're wrong. And he says, no, nothing wrong with me. Yeah. When I was a kid, my father, always wanted to teach me a lesson, and he told me the story of Al Capone. Anybody knows who's Al Capone? Al Capone, not even my generation. Al Capone was the gangster of the, Al Capone? Yeah? What was it? 50s? 40s? 60s? 50s and 60s, yeah? Big time gangster, killed lots of people. And until his deathbed, he says, I've done nothing wrong. I've done everything right. I'm helping people. I'm doing it to help people. Adolf Hitler, you know what he has done. He committed major, there's this wiping out of an entire race. To him, his mind is, the world is a better place if we got rid of certain race of people. And he killed hundreds of thousands of them. And to him, in his mind, he's doing the right thing. He's doing the right thing. He keep thinking that I'm doing doing something good for the benefit of humankind. How many of you watch Avengers? You watch Avengers? Yeah, nobody these days. And the Avengers, the character called Thanos, who with a snap of the fingers, he can half the world population is over. And if you ask him, what wrong did he do? He says, I've done nothing wrong. I helped the world. I helped the world. So there are a lot of people who justify their actions. And that's moha. Okay? In their mind, nothing wrong. That's why sometimes it's hard for people to get rid of those habits. Because in my mind, there's nothing wrong. Why should I change? It's not me who has to change, it's you. It's not me who has to change, it's my government. It's not me who has to change, it's the people around me. I have nothing wrong. I've done everything correct. That's called moha. So, loba, dosa, moha, these are the roots of unskillful qualities. And if we continue to feed into these, the only thing it will lead us is more negativity, more despair, and maybe not so good outcomes, in fact, very unpleasant. And you notice there are some people who are like this. If you have interacted with some of your friends, you notice somehow or rather they, it's so unpleasant to deal with them. But let's not look so far. What about ourselves? How much of our unskillful qualities have also rubbed off on others? I think we need to also recognize that. Because if you don't recognize that, then you notice forever we'll be continue to succumb to those old programming. And until we manage to change our programming, our habits will continue to repeat themselves over and over and over. That's why I say some character very hard to change. It's hard to make a switch. So the Buddha recognized this as one of the key things. That's why the teaching he mentioned is called the middle way. Because we cannot control these things. We can't control loba, we can't control dosa, and we can't control moha. If we can, life will be very easy. But we can't. The reality is we can't control any of these things. But we can be aware of them. We know they are happening. Now, if you look at it, this is just something I have said before. I am somebody who procrastinates quite a bit. And some people justify it by saying, I don't procrastinate. I wait until last minute to do things because then I will be older and wiser. Some people, they just justify themselves. They say, I nothing wrong with me. Procrastination is good. Let me give you another example. The fact that I procrastinate and still get the job done is the reason I still procrastinate. So some people, they just think that it's okay, nothing wrong with me. And I use a lot of procrastination sort of examples because, thanks, Chuan. Sorry, today I have to need your help to move the slides. Yeah. So again, procrastination is totally a good thing. You always have something to do tomorrow, plus you have nothing to do today. So these are just humorous quotes that people put up, but it's true. Some people, no matter what, even myself, sometimes I justify myself. I say, I do a better job last minute. Yeah, I do a better. I'm more of a person who doesn't do things this way. Why I prefer to do things this way. These are all habits, and normally these habits have their roots in the unskillful qualities called loba, dosa, moha. That's what we're trying to say. So, in order for us to do it well, let's understand that there is such a thing called good habits and skillful qualities that we can learn from. And if you look at the roots of our skillful qualities, what are they? In fact, the way to recognize is that they are the direct opposite of the unskillful ones. All right? So next slide, if you don't mind. Okay, a loba, a dosa, a moha. When you put an a in the beginning of the Pali word, it means non, the opposite of. So non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion. Non-greed means contentment. Non-hatred means care and kindness. Non-delusion means having the right mindset, wisdom, to see things in a proper way. So these are just the roots of our good habits. So what the Buddha is trying to tell us is, you recognize that there are unskillful roots, and you recognize that there are good roots. The only way for us to move forward meaningfully in life with purpose is to lessen, or rather, don't add some more fuel to the unskillful qualities, add more fuel to the wholesome and good qualities by fueling the three skillful roots of contentment, kindness, and wisdom. That's what it is. It looks simple, isn't it? In fact, if you look at the Buddha's path, it's a very straightforward, but then again, it's not so simple when you try to look at the life. Why? Because we are bound by our conditions, our past, our so-called habitual tendencies. So it's always very interesting when we look at the Buddha's teaching. The Buddha is trying to say is, don't talk about philosophy, don't talk about what you believe in alone. Talk about what we lead our life, how we lead our life. And if you look at it deeply enough, it has a lot to do with, again, I would emphasize this again, it's called habits. So the cultivation of habits are something like what we do in farming. Yeah. Anybody been to a farm? No? Not even in holiday? I know we've been to farms. We go to a farm, we've seen how farms are being, and that's why they say cultivate the farm. What does it mean by cultivating the farm? Food don't just pop up of nowhere. Or rather the produce don't come about just because we wish it to. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy, it requires a little bit of patience, and it requires that we also put in the right conditions, the seed, the soil, the fertilizers, the weather conditions, and many other things that needs to be there in order for the so-called the things to be produced, right? To grow in a successful way. Similarly, in our life, it's like farming. If you put the right seeds in, eventually the right conditions, then when the time comes, you know they will grow into very good things. But if you do not do anything, if you neglect it, what will happen to a farm? You neglect the farm, what will happen to it? You will see lalang lah. Weeds start to grow, crops start to die. Somehow we are not going to get a good produce. Okay? The other thing that needs to be done is called reprogramming. So we know that our programs have always been, for the longest time, been programmed by our past. But there's nothing stopping us from doing a reprogramming of ourselves. So when you look at living a life of purpose, it's not a belief system. It's about reprogramming our life. Why do we want to reprogram our life? Because we recognize that if we do not reprogram it, we are living based on past programs. And these past programs continue to the present. They will be the condition also for the future. Okay? And if you have already a lot of negative roots, loba, dosa, moha, these will propel us to loba, dosa, moha into the future as well. But if we say, okay, let's reprogram. I know I can't get rid of my past. I can't change my past. But I can do reprogramming so that the new roots will take place. Okay? The roots of contentment, kindness, and all that, so that it will propel us to the future. All these require recultivation, reprogramming, relook, and sometimes we call it reset. Okay, so that life can change, life can be different, life can switch, and we have this understanding that will propel to the future. So the ingredients of good habits have to do with three important things. It doesn't happen automatically. It needs effort. Just like when you do farming, it needs care, and also it needs time. And that's why we continue to come on Sunday, because when we come on Sunday, when we come to the Buddhist center, it's not just to, I got nothing better to do. I come here. No. It's a period of time where we spend here for cultivation. Why? Because it's about planting seeds. It's about putting the right ingredients in this soil. This life that we have is the soil. The seeds we plant comes from our intention, our actions, our motivations. And all this comes about when the time comes, we know that it will germinate to something quite positive. But it needs effort, it needs care, it needs time. It doesn't happen automatically. You can't be praying for it. You can't be saying, I want a different life and do nothing about it. That's why some people say, I want to have a healthier life, but somehow they continue to eat the junk. They don't change their habits. I want to lose weight, but they never exercise. Uh, I want to have a better relationship, but I don't spend time with my loved ones or the people I care about. I want to be a better, leader, but they don't spend no time learning how to be a leader. I want to be a better team player, but I don't spend enough time learning how to be a team player. So all these are called effort, care, and time. And so the Buddha does give a framework on how we can build those skillful qualities. And the framework is in the Noble Eightfold Path itself, called right effort. What does it mean? It means you need to first identify there are 4 things, but 2 sides. On one hand, there's this thing called sorry. I'm just gonna skip all this, and I'm just gonna go straight to here. So when you talk about right effort or samma vayama, I'm just trying to visualize what the Buddha said in the sutta. Basically, there are 2 things. There are bad habits or unskillful qualities, and there are good qualities. There are those qualities that are unskillful that have already arisen. That means they are already there. There are those unskillful qualities that are not yet there. They are potentially going to be there. So, for example, unskillful qualities that I already have. For example, procrastination, interrupting people before they finish what they're saying, impatient, getting agitated easily, and all this is already present in us. Potentially, indulgence in alcohol, forwarding unverified views via social media. Some of us have this tendency, but it's not yet there. All right, getting angry easily, and so on and so forth. There are 2 unskillful qualities. One is already there, is in us. Then those that are not yet there. It's good to recognize what are the unskillful qualities that I already have, what are the unskillful qualities that I don't have yet, but potentially can be there one. Okay? So, example, these are a few examples I have. What are some of the unskillful qualities that we potentially don't have? Any ideas? Okay, let me ask a different way. What are the unskillful qualities that we have already? For example, I'll say my one is procrastination. I always put things off the last minute before doing it. Okay, then the one that is not yet there, but I know is potentially there, is that I can be very easily getting angry. I'm not usually a very bad-tempered person, but I know I have a tendency. So these are just potential ones. So let's recognize we have these unskillful qualities. But at the same time, we also have the positive one, the skillful qualities. And if you look at it from this chart here, there are those qualities that have already been there. They are already arisen. We already have those qualities. Let's recognize them. Okay? And what about those qualities that have not yet there? Then we know that they are potential, not yet arisen. So I'd like to take a pause here and maybe ask you to maybe do a personal reflection. I don't have a piece of paper, but you can imagine the 4 quadrants here and look at two sides. On one side is the unskillful qualities that I already have, okay, and or potentially going to be there. And then on the other side is the good qualities already there and not yet there. Can you just take a quick imagining and let's give a sharing of a few examples. Okay, so you want to share some? You have?
I just retired. I've just retired recently, 31st of May this year. So after retirement, I started to take up some meditation. So I came to learn of these 16 ways of Anapanasati. So this is a very good meditation, which I encourage everyone to research in it and try to do it. There are 16 steps. So after 3 months, I've learned the first step and the second step. So this helped me to improve patience, of course, and also procrastination and hatred, and also contentment. So I hope I can further this meditation further. Thank you.
Okay, so brother here actually mentions about practice, right? The practice. Actually, those practices are also building of habits. Yeah. So you know that those habits of practicing a meditation is actually one of the good habits to have. So if you don't already have it, then it becomes that fourth quadrant here. Not yet arisen is probably doing meditation. Some of us may not have started. So say that could be one of the thing there. But what I want you to do here more is to also recognize what are the habits I already have, which means they are the top there. They are already present in me. It's good to take stock. Do I already have those qualities? What are those qualities that is not yet there? And the Buddha is trying to say to us very simple. For those qualities that are bad ones, that if there's already there, we have to try to lessen them, minimize them as much as we can. The good qualities to enhance them, enlarge them, to make them more. So it's about replacing the negative habits, the not so good habits, with good ones. And this requires, the word here says is effort. Effort means you make an exertion. You tell yourself, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it happen. It requires a little bit of motivation, a push to say, no matter what, it's so hard to what they call do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. That's what it means by building those habits. Yeah. So the path of what they call this life of purpose is not about, again, we say it's not about a wish. It's also not about a belief. It's a path of action. And when we say a path of action, it means we work towards it. We do something about it. We lead towards it. And it'll be naive to think that we will do this only when we have the time. Because let me tell you, we will never have enough time. So, back to here. If we start to list down all the things, some of us may have the side that is not so overshadowing the positive side. All right? Our job is to start to do a lot more to recognize that we can actually do a lot more on the right side to build the skillful ones, the skillful qualities, and make sure that we have a lot more on the left side. Okay? So, Chuan, if you don't mind, thanks. So the only way is for us to push and move towards this side. Looks easy, right? Is it easy? Okay, it's not so easy, but it can be done. It's just that we need to be aware. We need to be aware that this is, and why do we want to do this? Because you know you want something better for your life, that's all. And the only way this can be done is you start to build more positive habits. Meditation, yeah. Maybe the next, other than that, any practices that can help us to build good habits? Jenny? No? Jim? Any suggestions? What are the good things, good habits that we can probably do so that our life become more purposeful? yeah, doing reflections. I think doing reflection is a very useful thing to do because when we do reflections, what does it mean by reflection? Reflection means don't allow your life to just pass by. From time to time, it's good to take a pause. Pressing the pause button allows us to see things a lot more openly, a lot more positively, and then we start to say, okay, what is working now? What is not working? Those things that are not working, let's do less. Those things that are working, let's do more. Those things that we feel can benefit us, let's try it differently, and so on and so forth. All right. So let's next one. So when we say developing the skillful qualities and abandoning the unskillful ones, it's about helping us to live a life that is more purposeful, that is more meaningful. And if you can do it more, we definitely can lead to a lot more well-being and happiness. So I'm going to stop right here and perhaps just have a bit of discussion here. To say any of you got any experience to share or have any questions you might want to ask pertaining to this very reflective kind of topic. Yeah, reflection is very much lacking in a lot of people's life because we get very busy. We do things without really, it's almost like living in an autopilot mode lah. The time to wake up, there's time to get dressed, there's a time to go and eat, do my yoga, come back, do the next thing, do a bit of gardening, and then go to bed. And then the next thing we start again, and life can be like that for a while. Those of you who are working, I go to work, I go to I see, and then after that, see the problems. My boss gave me problem. My colleague gave me problem. And those of you who are retired, my children give me problem. So if we do not pause and look at the things that are important, you will tend to look at problems. And that's not good, because if you only see problems in life, then you will continue to feed into those problems, and you have a habit of problems. Whereas if you look at things and says, hey, this is not working, man, think we need to do something different. Then you might not look at the problem alone. You might look at it and says, hey, can we do it differently? Why don't I try this? Why don't I maybe have a different conversation? That one friend that I have not seen for the longest time, but I know he's somewhere there. Can I contact him? Can I make Can I sort of no matter what, I'm going to see him. I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to find out about him and things like that. For example, it could be to do with health. I'm not so healthy now. Then you can continue to say, what to do like that, old already, ma. Or you can say, okay, something is not working, something is working. I need to look at what works, and then I need to do something about it. And that's called reorganizing, reprogramming, reshaping, so that the life from this point onwards is not bound by the conditions of the past alone. You are creating new conditions for the benefit and well-being, taking us into the future. The future is created now in this present moment. All right, so that's what I want to just say. It's a very simple message, but I think it's important for us to, from time to time, recognize the importance of such reflections. So I open this now for a little bit of discussion. Any of you got any sharing or maybe questions you want to ask? And maybe you can share with each other. Yeah.
Thank you. Blue. Yes. No, I just want to see how we can improve and increase caring within our environment. How do we build that caring feature? I mean, SJBA always talk about caring and all this, but I think we have not given enough tools to our people to build that as part of our life. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Peter. Any ideas? The question is, how can we increase care in our community? In our daily routines. Caring is a habit actually, but how do we bring up this quality, of caring? I think that's a very big question, but I think important one to ask. Any ideas? No ideas. And then how? No caring. I think you're right, Brother Peter, and I think those questions, the question of caring, how do we bring about the caring attitude or the caring behavior? First and foremost, we go back to why we should even care in the first place. I think one of the key things that we always overlook is that when things happen and when people do certain things, what is our tendency? Normal tendency most of the time is we judge. And let's face the fact, we are all judgy people. I judge. You judge? I think we are all judges. We all like to judge. What do we judge? Example? The biggest judge. What kind of judging we do? Actually, we also judge ourselves. I'm not good lah. I don't think I'm good enough lah. I don't think I'm. The minute they ask you to do something, no, I cannot lah. So we judge ourselves. We also judge others. This one is not a good thing. This one is a better thing. And then we, in fact, before the judge pronounced the judgment, we already judge. And I think that's a very normal tendency stemming from loba, dosa, moha. The loba, dosa, moha is the one that makes us judge. So when we say why we don't have caring, so-called, let's look at it. Why do we not care enough? It's because we judge. We judge people, we judge ourselves, we judge the situation. Therefore, we don't care. We can say that lah. The only way for caring habit to come about is to be looking at things more, perhaps less of a judge. If this example is given by the Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, in one of his talks, he mentions we have two hands. If the left hand is hurt, what does the right hand do? If my left hand is not right, what does the right hand do? The right hand will help the left hand, regardless of whether the right hand will not say to the left hand, if I'm right-handed, you cannot do many things. That's why you are like that, law. That's why you become like that, law. But if the left hand is not right, what does the right hand do? The right hand takes care of the left hand. Very simple. It doesn't say you should be doing this, you should not be doing that. It just helps. Okay? It's a very simple example to say. So when we see people, do we judge them or do we care? But this caring quality can come about only when we see people as people. Okay? So if I see any of you here who come to the Buddhist Center, do I see you as a human being or do I see you as another statistic? Many of us see people as statistic. Oh, very good. Thank you for coming to SJBA. I see you have filled up the seats in the hall. But that's not the point. The point is everyone who comes to the Dhamma Center, to the temple, is a human being. You're a human being. Every one of us are human beings. We have our concerns, we have emotions, we have our needs. And I recognize you as somebody that is, that have your concerns, that have your needs. If I look at people in this manner, then I don't see you as another person who fill up the cushion or fill up the seat in the hall. You are a human being. How many of us treat others as a basic human being? Most of the time we don't. Let's face it, sometimes we don't even treat our loved ones as human beings. You know, me and my wife always jokingly says, you know, sometimes we treat each other like you utilize each other for your own benefit. Okay. Yeah, let's face it, we sometimes see people that way. We don't go back to basic, that they are just another human being. So as long as we don't go back and see each other as human beings, we go into judgment mode. We fall back to loba, dosa, moha. That's why we continue to develop those unskillful habits. So to have an attitude of caring, the only way is to let go of the judging and to see people as people. Then perhaps we might be able to see things and do things more differently. As you're sitting right here smiling at each other, laughing, you look fine, you look good, you look all right. But deep down inside, we know everyone have your concern. You have your worry, you have your whatever. There must be a good reason why, you know, you are seated here, because there are some concerns you have. It's not just about, oh, I come here and then I, you know, so if I look at you as just another person who attends the session, and then that's why I don't care, lor. I don't care lah. You know, you're here lah. I do my part already. I give my talk already. I finish. I go back, and you also go back. Thank you very much for coming, huh? But that's not the point, right? That's not the point. The point is you are here because there must be something that brought you here. Okay, could be a concern you have. Could be maybe you know, it's very seldom I see people got nothing better to do come to the Buddhist temple lah. Right? There must be a good reason. It's either you want to develop yourself, you want to be a better person, and that's why you come here and sit down. Even though it's just to listen to a talk, it looks so innocent, so simple, but it's not. There is a purpose of that. So anyway, to answer the question, to give a perspective, we must go back to why we don't care enough. And the reason people don't care enough is because we forgot to see that person as a person. We judge. We judge because we have greed, hatred, delusion. Very simple. Okay? We don't see them as a person. Okay? Sometimes we look at people who are working. If you are working, who I worked before, my boss is not a human being. You know, why? Because he does so many things that I don't like. But if you look deep down, no matter how difficult that person is, he's just another human being. Hitler was a human being. Mahatma Gandhi was a human being. The Buddha was a human being. Of course, the Buddha has transcended the normal things. That's why the Buddha is caring, because he has moved beyond the habits of judging, the habit of, you know, of looking at the person and says, hey, you are not good lah. Why you are not so well cultivated? How come you can be like that one? The minute somebody do something wrong with our habit is what? Told you so already, ma. How can you be like that? You know, that's why lah. See? So how to care? You know, that's why it seems as if we don't care. Actually, to say we don't care is not true. We care, but we care in a way that judges, that perhaps you know, what's the other thing? We categorize them. We say this is good, this is not good, and then we have a tendency. If people come, you know, for example, people who come to the center and then they possibly they're not aware of the rules of the temple, and they probably came in their shorts, in their whatever, you know, sometimes, you know, people are there, they just come, and the minute we do not see them as a human being, what do? You go to them and say, hey, can I wear shorts in temple? How to care like that? That's not right. So, but if we see them as a person, then we might, how will we, you know, deal with them differently. You know, if you see your mother, your father as a person, how would you react differently? They have their concern, they have their needs. Sometimes we forget. So the habit of caring comes about only when we remember and aware of the qualities that make us care in the first place. So this is a very important thing and a message that all of us need to take away. Because if not, we will continue to do the things that are not skillful. That's why we call them unskillful. Akusala Dhamma. Akusala, unskillful qualities. The Buddha says, reduce, abandon, minimize. Kusala Dhamma, Kusala Kamma, right actions, good actions, wholesome actions, skillful actions. Increase them. Do them more. Arouse them. All right? And continue to plant those seeds and so it's about rewriting programs. And that will lead us on to a lot more purposeful life, purposeful living, meaningful living. Not every day just go about the daily routine and that's it. You know, we forget that this is so important. So today's message is, I think, back to that very simple message. It's just to, come back to that. Jim, you want to say something?
Actually, I was glad that Brother Peter brought up this topic of caring and sharing, which is the mission, the vision of Subang Jaya Buddhist Association, a friendly and caring Dhamma center. Not just a vihara, not just a temple, it is a Dhamma center, all right? The place where we propagate the teaching of the Buddha. And the friendly and caring, why? Because this is exactly what the Buddha taught us that we should be doing. The Buddha say, at what time when this Venerable Ananda, the chief disciple of the chief attendant of the Buddha, say that spiritual friendship is only half. It's half friendship is half the spiritual life. And the Buddha said, no, actually it's the entire spiritual life, right? And the Buddha himself, throughout his life, have many examples of great compassionate action to help people who are suffering, people who lost their beloved ones, people who are dying, people who die, and so on and so forth. You can see the Buddha himself. There are so many stories the Buddha actually went forth to relieve the suffering of all those people who are suffering. So this is what, when we say we want to learn and practice the teaching of the Buddha, to be a friendly and to be a compassionate person is what we are talking about, to learn and practice the teaching of the Buddha. I was surprised actually one day, quite some time back, probably about 5-6 years ago, that a very senior Buddhist was telling me, he said, Churchit is not a Buddhist temple, a Buddhist society. I said, why? No, they are doing welfare, they are not teaching the Dhamma. I said, that's welfare is a Dhamma. It's one of the important Dhamma taught by the Buddha. The what you call those welfare and all those compassionate activities are very important activities, what they call the teachings of the Buddha. And I was surprised that there are people who have been learning so much about Buddhism, and they say that they do not associate this acts of compassion to be the teaching of the Buddha. All right? The person say they should be teaching the Dhamma and meditation. So somehow, actually, I was quite disappointed that such a person who have been so many years learning the Dhamma and meditation dissociate the friendship, spiritual friendship especially, and welfare work from Dhamma, right? Meditation, of course, is very important. We know that it's a pinnacle of the Buddhist practice, meditation. But another person, a very senior person, say meditation is everything in the Dhamma. Also, it's not true. This is not true, right? Of course, for us, it's important for us to do meditation because the Buddha taught us to do meditation. Basically, to calm down ourselves, calm down our mind and body, so that we can eventually see things in what they call as what they already are, all right? So that we can focus our mind. So when you focus our mind, you can actually learn and practice the Dhamma better, and eventually understand the true nature of our life and what life is all about, and how we can eventually be free from all the suffering and have a better and more meaningful and purposeful life. That's the importance of doing meditation, right? So we must get our focus correct, so that when we learn the Dhamma, we can learn more beneficially and also more meaningfully and more purposefully, right?
Well said, Brother Chim. I think these are very good reminders that it's not the living life and Dhamma and Buddhist. It's not a religious practice alone. It's the whole life, right? And I just want to draw attention, thanks for that point, because it reminds me that actually if you look at caring, let's not go so far. Let's look at the Buddha's life itself, how the Buddha actually cared for people. If you look at the Buddha did not do a lot of preaching, nor teaching, nor lecturing. In fact, what we are doing today is a lot more teaching, preaching, and all that. But the Buddha, if you look at his life, and where we get his life story from the suttas, from the scriptures itself, and the way he lead his life, many a time he'd reach into people's life. I mean, there are many stories about the Buddha. There was one time where Patachara, one of the disciples of the Buddha, she was completely mad because she lost her husband, she lost her children, she lost her family, all within one day. And she was almost going mad. And when she came to the Buddha, she was mad. She was uncontrollable. She was utterly, completely, you can't even pacify her. But the Buddha managed to do that. And the Buddha never says, hey, go and put on some clothes. Because she was naked in the monastery. The Buddha never said that. Go and put on some clothes, go and sit down properly, listen to me. This is what you should do. He didn't judge her. He just says, come, all right, what's your problem? Why are you like this? Okay, then the Buddha says, okay, don't worry. That's why life is like that. And he calmed her down. That's just one example. The story of Kisa Gotami. I think some of us are you know the story of Kisa Gotami? No? Okay, the Buddha, this lady, Kisa Gotami, she was she lost her newborn, her son. And she was very, very upset and grieving and almost mad, angry. And of course, she went around and asked how to bring my son back, how to bring my child back. Nobody could help her. Everybody turned her away and says, no, that's why like that lah. What to do, karma lah. Some people straight away tell what to do, karma lah. That's why lah. But instead, the Buddha, when she came to the Buddha never said anything to judge her. The Buddha only mentioned to her, you want me to bring your son back? Can. Why don't you do this? Go and I need 2 ingredients. Okay? One of the ingredient is you must bring me, they call it the mustard seed. Mustard seed is very useful in India where they press the seed to make sesame, the oil lah. And bring me that seed from a household. Okay? First condition. Second, but the seed or the ingredient must come from a place where that family, that household, nobody has died before one. So the Buddha, instead of judging her and telling her what to do, it's like that like karma. He never lecture her. He just tell her, you want me to help you? Can. Do this for me. So she went around, and of course the story goes is that she said, can I have mustard seed? And of course the household, the person there says, God, but anybody die before? God, so cannot. So okay, so you go to the next house. God, oh yeah, I got mustard seed. Got people die already? God. So after a while she realizes by herself that death comes to every person. And then she came to the Buddha and says, okay, I see where you're helping me to realize. So this is just an example to say even the Buddha, he never judges. He never say you should be doing this, you should not be doing that. That's what we normally do. I mean, I'm sure you got people coming to us. Hey, I got this problem. Well, how to solve? You know what? What's our normal response? Let me tell you. This is what you should be doing. Okay? Don't do like that. Do like this. Why? Because we judge. That's our habit, lah. But if you can learn from the Buddha, Buddha never did that. Buddha was very clear. I just want to see you as a person who needs my help, who needs my attention. You know, even my husband and wife is the same thing, but, you know, why you never listen to me? Why should I listen to you? You never listen to me. Die like, no, sure, the whole argument starts. It's not like that. The Buddha is always recognizing about human being. So, Brother Chim has brought up this, our mission is about a caring, center. And what we mean by that is, if you look at it deeply, it's about treating each other as human beings. It's a very simple message. So I think that's what we have for you to this morning. I hope it has been helpful. These are simple messages, but we need reminders. And all these reminders help us to be better, cultivating better habits, better motivations, so that our life is a lot more purposeful, meaningful, and then we become helpful. And whatever fool, don't be a fool. Okay, so with that, I'd like to hand it back to Brother Chuan. Yeah, sure.
How do we help others who might be weak and slightly delusional or their beliefs? How do we help others who might be weak and slightly delusional or their beliefs?
Okay, I'm not sure what you mean by delusional or weak, but I presume if I were to just try to understand the question, somebody who is weak and delusional, maybe the word delusional, again, it's how do we know they are delusional? It's none other than our judging, but anyway, never mind. Maybe if I can look at it, maybe somebody who needs help. Sometimes it's not that they don't know what they, there's such a thing called they don't know what they don't know. Well, that's why we say they are delusional lah. They don't know what they don't know. So let me just try to answer this. When they don't know what they don't know, it means they are not aware. They have what we call blind spots. When people have blind spots, they are not aware what they are doing. A lot of time, they have certain habits that is very hard for them to see because they can't see that in themselves. That's why when we go to them and we maybe highlight to them, many a time they may even deny it and say that, no, that's not me. And if you ask me what can we do, there's nothing much you can do. There's nothing much you can do unless you have a very good relationship with the person and you are in a position that you are able to sometimes influence him or her. That really depends on your level of the relationship. If the relationship is not so good, then it's hard for you to say something or do something about it. But if the relationship is not too bad and the person does look to you for answers, for opinions, then there's a good chance you may be able to help them to see certain things that way. Even the Buddha also faced similar things. During the Buddha's time, there are people who are also like that. They don't know what they don't know. They will deny that to them, they are not wrong. The Buddha is wrong. I'm not wrong. How can you say I'm wrong? It's very hard to get to them unless they open up and say, please help me, please teach me, because I really want to learn to be a better person. So how do you help them who might be weak and slightly delusional over their abilities? Maybe, I do not know whether what you mean is that that means he doesn't have confidence in his abilities, maybe, I don't know. If he's not so confident in his own abilities, how can you help him to be more confident with his abilities? I think there's nothing you can do to change them except to care for them. So you can't change a person. You can only care for them. And the only way to care for them is to give them the encouragement and help them to see that that is something they also, the qualities that they have, and to give them one or two examples and remind them. If they are open enough to receive your so-called your advice and your your opinions, there's a chance that they might be able to do something about it. But if they are not open to it, then sorry lah, it's very hard for you to get to them. So it really depends a lot on the relationship you have with them. So you can lecture them, you can try, you can advise them, but it doesn't help much one unless they are willing and they're ready to open up to you. So the only way to do that is to reach to them by caring first. Why do they have a lack of confidence? Why do they have this so-called delusion? Why do they have this? And the only way we can see that is you go into their life. Sometimes you need to go further into their life to recognize why are they like that. We have a tendency to like to help. And many a time, by being helpful, we are not helpful. Why? Because we don't know why they have certain behaviors. So why don't we do the other way? Instead of helping, try to understand first. Remember, helping doesn't mean it's good. Sometimes being helpful is not helpful. So it's better to understand first and see where they are coming from. Why do they have this tendency? Oh, could be maybe their past. There's certain episodes in their life that has contributed to how they are today. Yeah, they have certain habits that's not very helpful. So our job, if you want to help them, is to help them to see that they have a choice to make. Okay, so I can't answer very directly, but I think these are just some ideas. Basically, care first, understand first, then only help. I think that'll be a better approach, because going in to help immediately may not be helpful. But if we care about it, we understand it, we see where they're coming from, then we help, just as what the Buddha has done. There's a lot of inspiration we can get from the Buddha's life itself. The Buddha was a very caring person, understanding person. He understands you first before he subscribes to you the medicine. And that's most of the time what he would do. So we can do the same thing. Yeah? So I think that's what I can offer.
This morning, we must have all of you who have come all the way from the speaker, anyone who has spent his time in prayer and deliver his Dhamma talk, and it has given us wonderful advices. Gratitude to all of you who have come all the way here and listen, learn, and will cultivate what you have learned. And I must say is that always gratitude to those who have assisted this morning, who are behind the scene. Wonderful, and we shall go on with the sharing of the merits. With the merits accrue, let us dedicate merits to all our departed relatives, families, and friends, and all beings. May they rejoice to the merits. We wish to dedicate merits to those who are not well. May they have a speedy recovery. May they be free from harm and danger. Transference of merits. Akasata cha bummata deva naga mahedika punyantang anumoditva jirang rakantu loka sasanang jirang rakantu desanang jirang rakantu mang parang. Et Tavata cha amhehi Sambatang punya sambadang Sabbe deva sabbe satta Sabbe bhuta anumodantu Sabba sampatti siddhya Idang me nyatinang hotu Sukita hontu nyatayo Idang me nyatinang hotu Sukita hontu nyatayo Idang me nyatinang hotu Sukita hontu nyatayo Imang no punya bagang Mata pitunancha Acharyanancha Sabba satanancha Sabba mitanancha Sabba nyatinancha Sabba petanancha Sabbe devatanancha Bhajema Imang no punya bagang Sabba satanang dema Sabbe sata sukita hontu Imina punya kamena Mame bala samagamo Satang samagamo hotu Yava nibbana patiya Idang me punyang asawakaya vahang hotu Idang me punyang nibbanasa pacayo hotu Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Before we end, let us pay homage to the tribute. Let's do it together, brothers and sisters. Buddhang bujemi, Dhammang bujemi, Sanghang bujemi. Thank you very much. Sadhu, to those who have participated in the Buddha Puja, to the end of the session with the dedications of merits. To those who have been following us online, thank you again. We come to the end of this morning's 98th online Sunday Buddha Puja service. To visit us again, sadhu, sadhu, for partaking in this Buddha Puja. May you and family be safe, well and happy and peaceful always. Please continue to attend our weekly Sunday Buddha Puja service. Sukhi Hontu and goodbye. Sabbe Sata Sukita Hontu.
Dhamma ධම්ම විදිනා ජිතවා මුනින්දෝ තං තේජසා භවතු තේ ජය මංගලානි මාරාතිරේකමභියොන් ජිතසා